Please welcome Mira Nair. And what you're looking at is a picture from last year where she received the award from Indra Nooyi. Now, we have the tradition that the previous year's Person of the Year returns to celebrate and give the award to the next year's winner. How were you feeling at that moment? Do you remember?
I think we have to put the India Abroad photographers through a strict course in how to make a woman look good. And the angles never work from below. So we can start from there. But thank you very much. It's really wonderful to be here. And I have to say that India Abroad, the award is the most beautiful award. Salman Rushdie had warned me that it is really beautiful, and I saw it in his house. And it's the only award, I must say, that I display in my home.
Wow, that's a great compliment.
For being that voice that bridges East and West, America and the world, we salute Fareed Zakaria and honor him today as the India Abroad Person of the Year 2008.
In honor of Fareed Zakaria, who has told, as we have heard before, spoken truth to power and not made us the other forever. Fareed, who is our voice and who speaks to America and speaks to the world. Congratulations.
I have to confess that seeing myself on TV, I think Mira is absolutely right. It's a lot better to have good lights, makeup, all that kind of thing. I'm embarrassed to be in front of you without all that. And I have to, when I listen to Salman remind us where we are, the Museum of the American Indian, it reminded me of the thing my wife, who's an American, said when she first...
that's her calling.
That's exactly. When she told her sister that she was dating an Indian, her sister said to her, "Dot or feather?" And as it turned out, she understood what she meant and said, "No, dot, dot." So we are in the Museum of the Feathered Indians as dot Indians ourselves, and so I think it's a wonderful mingling of cultures. I just thought I'd say a few words to thank India Abroad for this extraordinary gesture. First of all, it is a particular honor to be here with Zubin Mehta, not just because he is a great citizen of the world, but because he is a great citizen of Bombay, as I persist in calling it. It really is true that when I was growing up in Bombay, he was probably the most prominent Indian to have succeeded in the outside world. You know, I've been thinking about the extraordinary journey India has taken. You ask yourself why it's happened. My brother runs an investment fund that invests in India. And he says that nowadays, India is the easiest story to sell Americans. It's the easiest investment idea to give them. You know, it's fastest growing free market democracy in the world. Except, he says, if they've been to India. Then, you know, they've landed at those airports and they've been on those roads and they say, wait, this is the future? But the truth is, he says, you have to go one step further in India. It's not like China where there is an 8-lane highway. You have to travel on that road and then you go and see the people of India, the factories, the companies, and not just the great world-class companies like Infosys that Nandan founded, but the Banyas of Bombay, and you discover this extraordinary human talent, this rich, bubbling up stew of humanity that is making ends meet, doing things in clever, ingenious ways, battling the odds. And there you begin to see the genius of India, and there you begin to see why it is that India has been able to make these extraordinary strides. It is, in some ways, the most life-affirming story you can imagine, because it is not about a central government that has wisely or effectively or brutally commanded resources. It is about a people who have come into themselves. You know, Indians of my generation, or maybe it was just growing up in my family, were sort of forced to memorize Nehru's great speech on Indian independence. And he says in it at one point, "A moment comes that comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when the soul of a nation long suppressed finds utterance." And when you go to India today, you almost have that feeling. This time it is not the soul of a new independent nation state, but the soul of a people that is being liberated in 100 different ways, in a million mutinies, to coin a phrase. But I think that what I'm most struck by when thinking about that and asking myself, why did it happen? I think more than anything else, what gave Indians the sense of the power of the individual, the confidence that they could do something, was the extraordinary power of the Indian diaspora, the extraordinary achievements of the Indian diaspora. You know, I grew up and remember ringing in my ears a very pointed, telling, and funny question that a great parliamentarian, member of an opposition party called the Swatantra Party, Mr. Pilu Modi, asked Prime Minister Indira Gandhi during Prime Minister's question hour. He said, "Madam Prime Minister, may I ask you a question? Why is it that Indians seem to succeed in every government other than yours?" And if you thought about it, it was an extraordinary point, that Indians did well in Africa, they did well in England, they did well in the United States. And it was that success that made Indians in India, I think, in part begin to say, you know, there's nothing about us as Indians that means that we can't make it. People have often talked about the Indian diaspora, particularly here, as a brain drain. I actually think it's exactly the opposite. It has been an extraordinary brain gain. It has provided extraordinary opportunities and encouragement and inspiration for people here, but it has been a light and a beacon for India to be able to find ways to raise the bar and to achieve what was really, at some points, thought unimaginable. After all, we were Indians, people used to say, and nobody says that anymore after watching what India has been able to do. And when thinking about this extraordinary melding of worlds, I think you have to think about vehicles like India Abroad that allowed this mixing of cultures, that encouraged it, that allowed people to come here and have some contact with the homeland, that allowed Americans, in a sense, to see the Indian community as productive, hardworking citizens, doctors, lawyers, whatever it was. So much, I think, of America's positive attitudes about Indians has to do, India has to do with America's positive experience with Indians. And so much of that was facilitated, encouraged, and showcased by a newspaper like India Abroad. So I in deep humility, accept this award, but I also want to say that it is an extraordinary milestone that India Abroad has been able to achieve, not just for the Indian community, but for this idea that we can all mix together and create a more interesting, more productive world. And I think it is an idea that is somewhat threatened, particularly in times of recession, particularly in times of crisis. And I think we need to try to remember that this is precisely the moment that we want to press forward and celebrate the mixing of people, the mixing of cultures, and the extraordinary opportunities it's opened up for everybody. And I am simply one small example of the virtues of that diversity and the virtues of that melding. Thank you all very much.